Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I want you to really think about this comment that was made by a diplomat for the French back in 1897, I believe it was. Only the mediocre are always at their best. Think about that. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, and I hope he does. Please, here comes Kate Smith, and good morning, Patriots, with the pledge. And a good morning to you and yours. I'm Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, sitting in a very hot studio right now. It's warm outside already. And, of course, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a very safe, clean environment and the best in tires. And, of course, don't forget, too, Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, we need a patriot on the air to give us our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
My friend.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I hope you'll be calling back in a few minutes. I got a feeling you will. Thank you, my dear friend. God bless you. Appreciate it. Time for the weather, and the weather brought to you this hour by K&R Rental. Do you know where they are? I'll tell you. 256 South, 600 west of Hayburn. You don't understand where those coordinates are? Easy then to tell you they're right there on the Burley-Paul Highway. You can't miss them. A front yard that is absolutely filled with equipment for you to finish any kind of a construction project or any kind of a task. And they've got also all your lawn and garden equipment. They've got everything over there at K&R Rental. They get there early in the morning at 7 o'clock. Roger and the crew to serve you. K&R Rental. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're still in that heat advisory for today, and it's going to be a little bit muggy. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Mostly sunny skies. We are expecting a high of 95. A little bit of a breeze out of the southeast at about 8 miles an hour. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 62. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 92. Winds are going to be picking up just a little bit out of the south by Thursday night. Mostly clear with a low of 56. By Friday, sunny and 92. That's a look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Already, I've got 74 degrees over here. Woo, baby. I tell you what, I turned the fan on this morning. And, of course, our weather brought to you by K&R Rental. Absolutely, they've got all the tools and equipment on both a long and short-term rental, and they want to help you. They've got it all. If you have questions about what you need, call Roger at 678-3122. K&R Rental on the Burley-Paul Highway. Big shout out to our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Hello, Ramsey's. They also get there early in the morning at about 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday. Ramsey Heating and Electric. And it goes without saying right now that if you've got an air conditioner and you're sitting there going, well, how come it doesn't work very good? Well, maybe you better change the air filters. Yep, that's right. They've got all your air filters for your air conditioner. They've got all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Number to call, 678-0459. Want to give a great big shout-out, too, to our friends over at Dino's Septic Service. Hello, Dino's. Can you imagine on a hot day like yesterday and today? having to go out there and pump your septic tank or whatever. Oh, my. Call the pros. Call the people that do that for a living. Septic tank pumping, liquid waste removal, sewer and sink drain lines cleaned, all of this and so much more. And they've got the most modern equipment to serve you. All of this area, absolutely. We salute Dino's Septic Service at 436-6526 or 678-1638. Fast, fair, friendly service. The best. Dino's Septic Service. Caller, good morning to you.
Well, good morning to you, too. You know, this morning I was just thinking of something. You know, you are a professional spokesman, so to speak. You announced the rodeos for years and years. But did you sometimes find yourself, when you're driving down the road, thinking or rehearsing what you're going to say or that sort of thing?
No.
You didn't?
No. I don't believe. Okay, now I'm just going to share something with you that I very seldom ever talk about because I don't like to talk about me or my situation that much. I do not rehearse anything if I can help it. There are certain circumstances where you have to rehearse, and if you're working for someone else, like at the National Finals Rodeo or over at the World Equestrian Games in Spain, there is a set and standard script that you must follow, and you must do it their way. I understand that. But to sit there and say that I rehearse and think about, well, I'm going to say this here, or I'm going to try to say this there, I don't do that at all, because that's how I approach this program. Nothing is rehearsed, nothing is written down, and none of my commercials are written out. All I have for the commercials are basically their name, address, and phone number.
Well, that one time I was an MC at an event, and I said something, and I can't remember what it was, but I didn't get the reaction that I wanted, you know. And then all of a sudden, my mind goes blank.
Well, I'm not saying that I haven't had those little mental lapses to the point where all of a sudden your brain says, hey, big mouth, what are you going to say next? But, you know, I've always shot from the cuff. I don't like to have things all programmed and all laid out. I just don't like that.
Yeah. What I'm leading up to is this Democratic Party and the various people he's had speak. You know, anybody without any skills can speak into a microphone, and if it's not quite right, they'll redo it. You know, and you couldn't have got to have a reaction. In other words, did they go over well or not? You know, these people are like zombies.
Well, you're referring to, of course, the Democratic Convention and the way it's been altered in kind of a cartoonish atmosphere. I just think it's terrible, and there has been absolutely no worthiness for me to sit there and waste my time in the evenings watching something that is so frivolously stupid and ill put together. That's my personal feeling, and if somebody takes offense at that, too bad.
I only watch it off and on because I'd like to know what they're thinking.
Yeah.
But they just slobbered all over Joe Biden last night.
Well, yeah, but you got to expect that. I mean, come on, Keith. It's the Democratic Convention. Yes, they're going to slobber all over and say great things about Demented Joe, and I understand all that. And the Republicans will get their time. Everybody's going to get a fair shot to kind of lay their wares out on the table, hoping somebody will buy. But you know, some of the things that were not covered and have not been covered at this Democratic National Convention. Nobody, I dare somebody to tell me I'm wrong, nobody has laid out any public policy as to what they're going to do to try to make America better or help the taxpayers have a better life. Not one time. They have not been supportive of the police. They have not said anything about law and order in this country, and I condemn them for what they have not done.
Well said, my friend. You know, it's the economy, stupid, as they would say.
Yeah.
But they're not listening, so I even say it.
Yeah, I know. I'm just fed up with them. Keith, God bless you, man. Thank you for your call, and you always break the ice. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Bye.
All right, sir. Hey, calls welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Some of the great merchants that invite you to the Cache County Fair and Rodeo, and today is the big parade day. What am I doing? I'm still living in the past yesterday, Tuesday. Today is the big parade at 10:30. Don't forget Mountain Transmissions at 1146 East Main in Burley. Hello, Rick. Number to call, 678-9110. And believe me, over 30 years of service to the industry of helping you with your transmissions. You want to put it in drive and go ahead, and you put it in drive and you went through the garage, hey, you better get a hold of him. You got transmission problems, he can help at Mountain Transmissions. Golden Valley Warehouse. These are the nicest people to work with at 468 West, 1000 South of Burley, and believe me, they've got the quality seed for all of our agribusiness in this area. Barley, wheat, triticale, oats, alfalfa, you name it. And believe me, a very friendly staff at Golden Valley Warehouse. And last but not least, Perkins Bakery and Restaurant at 800 North Overland in Burley. Oh my goodness, a lot of people are gathering there for breakfast and then going in there for lunch or dinner. And after the fair's completed in the evening, stopping in for a snack at Perkins Bakery and Restaurant, right there located at the Burley Inn. Calls are welcome, and caller, I'll be right there. As a matter of fact, I'll go with you first. Go ahead with the call.
Good morning. Burley Senior Center will be closed today only due to the congestion from the parade. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Wow, that was short, sweet, and succinct. Joe Taylor, God bless you, man. The Burley Senior Center closed today because of all the traffic congestion and, of course, the parade. Thank you, Joe. I do appreciate your calling in. By the way, if you're not familiar, I'm going to get right into a couple of points here in a moment, but I want to mention that if you have an athlete living in your home and they need a sports physical before this fall school opening, don't forget, $10 sports physicals. It's special at the Urgent Cares. Riverview Urgent Care at 382 North Overland in Burley, the Urgent Care in Twin Falls on Addison Avenue East, and the Urgent Care in Jerome at 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. $10 sports physicals, but listen to this. 100% of that money is going to be donated back to your school's athletic program. No appointments necessary. Get into your Urgent Care now. It's valid through the month of August. A $10 sports physical, and the money goes back to your school. All right, calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm begging America to open their eyes and listen. Whether you're listening to me on the internet, zebbell.com, all over the world, or right here on K-Bar, locally, please, America, understand that word, realize, that the Biden and Harris team trying to take over our country as president and vice president are representing the socialist left. That's not a statement without any baggage. It's true. We cannot take a chance in January of letting the left, with all their dissent and all their rioting and all their looting and burning and hatred for this country, the greatest country on the face of the earth, we cannot allow them to win this election November 3rd. I don't care if you're offended out there in the audience. I don't care if the Democrats are sick and tired of me aiming at them every day. If they want to change that attitude, then they should change their policies, which, by the way, they never amplify what their policies are. We are in the most dangerous, and I mean this, folks, don't just poo-poo this along. We're in the most dangerous position ever in our country's history. Think about it. The riots, the mobs, the burnings, the lootings, all orchestrated and okayed by the left to hurt Donald Trump's reelection. That's a fact. And these detestable people will hurt you, and they'll hurt our country, America, to gain power and control. You can take that to the bank. Again, I go back to this cartoonish attitude and production of the Democratic National Convention. The Democrats have never come out and said anything to denigrate the violence that's going on in this country. They won't even admit that it's happening. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Caller, talk to me or I'm going to go on.
Oh, good morning. Yeah, I didn't realize I was next in line.
You're next in line, so go ahead quickly.
No, it's true. And this revolution to fundamentally change this country has been going on for a long time. And now they're got the money, the organization, the news media is totally in the Main Street media is just totally in the camp with these revolutionaries, and they do want to change our system of government from a constitutional republic with individual liberties and freedoms to a totalitarian communist regime. That's where we're headed, Zeb, and you know that as well as I do.
Well, I keep saying it every day. Of course I know it. But the problem is, Adrian, you understand what's going on. I understand what's going on. But does the general voting public understand what's going on? I am very fearful for those 35 years of age and younger as to what they might do or might not do in supporting this, the greatest country ever on the face of the earth.
Well, I'm very fearful, too. You and I have been around a long time, and we've seen a lot of things happen, but it is really scary as to what's going on right now, Zeb, and like I say, our education system is just cranking out these good little socialists, and as I've said before, I'm a professor in college in Idaho University, and these kids coming in, freshmen, they're just good little green socialists, and it's just, it's so sad, but that's the bottom line. Our education system in Idaho and nationwide, we still keep getting Common Core from the United Nations, and they've always been our enemy from day one. So, but we better be waking up, and we better be supporting our local police and our sheriff. The sheriff is the most important elected
Absolutely.
office
Absolutely.
in the nation.
Absolutely.
If the sheriff capitulates, then we're done.
I'll tell you what, there needs to be more confrontation with people that are denigrating and degrading our country. And I tell you what, I'm going to keep on pushing on this program every single day. Adrian, I appreciate it. I got to get some commercials in. God bless you. And if you got a cold, it sounds like you do. Take care of it.
Yeah, I'm just, I don't know. It's kind of a sinus.
All right. Well, you take care.
There's something settled in my head.
All right, take care. Thank you. Thank you.
So anyway, just a summer cold again.
All right, sir. I appreciate your call. Thank you very much. And right now I want to remind everybody about Denny's Restaurant at 611 North Overland in Burley, America's Diner. Just stop in and sit down. You'll be handed a menu, and then you're going to go, how am I ever going to make a choice with all these delicious entrees that are on this menu? Ho, 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 ho. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, anytime, all the time, all the desserts, and the nice people serving you. I'll give you a little clue for breakfast. You got to try the strawberry crepes breakfast. You're going to love it at Denny's Restaurant. The home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, and we're going to be over there next Thursday on the 27th. And don't forget, 611 North Overland in Burley, America's Diner, Denny's Restaurant. Absolutely the best. Cache County Fair and Rodeo. We're at midweek and what's cooking today. Today, of course, on Wednesday at 10:30, they've got the big parade. And then, of course, a whole bunch of judging. They've got the Cache County Heifer Futurity this afternoon. They've got entertainment on the free stage. And tonight at 7 o'clock, they've got the Team Ranch sorting. And then tomorrow, Thursday, starts the first of 3 days of professional rodeo action at your Cache County Fair and Rodeo. Don't forget. And the parade again this morning at 10:30. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning again. You know, every day here in Idaho we think, oh, how lucky we are that we have the peace and tranquility that we enjoy. But I think it was yesterday when it was brought up about the mayor of Boise and how she is trying to do the same doggone thing.
Well, I brought it up yesterday about her because I found a story about how she's been accepting and taking a lot of dark money from the insidious left, including organizations from George Soros. I'm very concerned about this lady as the mayor of Boise, and I'm going to be doing more investigative type looking and reading about her and what her plans are for that city.
You know, this is really, really good what you're doing, because people like me, we just go along to get along, more or less, because we don't know what's behind that curtain.
Yeah. Well,
we're bringing it to light.
I appreciate that.
I appreciate that.
I thank you for your kind comments, Keith, but you got to thank some other people, too. I work with a staff of people across the United States that have been friends for a long, long time to this program, and they go overboard to get me information, whether it's on a national level or a state level. I've got people that help me, and then, of course, my lovely, lovely wife helping me every day find out the facts and the truth to stories before we go on the air. So I appreciate that. God bless you for your thoughts.
Well, very seldom do you ever spend a day with us that you don't know what I'm going to talk about.
Okay, buddy.
You've already heard it.
And by the way, and I owe you a little bit of an apology. You called the other day in regards to a story in California, and I did my due diligence on this, and I did find some information about that taxation after people might decide to leave the California to where they could be literally paying taxes to the Golden State long after they leave. The story I had was very incomplete, and it was slanted towards the liberal left, and I'm looking for facts. I don't want slants. And I've got some information on that. You were right. It is happening. They're trying to push it through. Whether they do or not, that's another story, and I'll try to get that, and next week I'll try to find out more. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for lending an ear to me about something like that.
I appreciate it.
Because I don't even know how to go about researching it.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's sometimes can get a little bit dicey. Thank you very much, Keith. Appreciate it. Hey, folks, don't forget every Monday at this time, right this time, 8:30 on Monday, we give away a dozen cookies to a delicious restaurant and bakery. Oh, they do a wonderful job. Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square. Oh, the restaurant is delicious, and the bakery with all the pies and the cakes, the wedding cakes, all the different desserts, the cookies, etc. Sophie's Chatterbox on the square in Rupert. The Bennett boys have got a big sale coming up this Saturday. I'm trying to find it here. There we go. The Eiler Estate Auction. And it's going to be in Filer at 2264 East, 4300 North. From Filer High School, go east on 2300, and keep watching for the signs, okay? Lunch by the Cook Shack, and they're going to have tractors and forklifts, farm machinery, snow blower, ATV four-wheelers, generators, all kinds of shop and tool equipment, and I urge you to be at this sale. Joe Bennett and the Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett boys, yep, they sell them all. Calls are welcome, and I'd love to hear from you. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm going to open up a little can of worms here, and I'm going to talk about something that I debated whether I should say this morning or not. But this song, if you want to call it that, and give it that much credence, that I'm going to be referring to that was taped and recorded by female rapper Cardi B is so filthy. And absolutely, the experts have said it's the most vulgar song that has been on the charts ever. And the reason I'm bringing this up about Cardi B and this filthy rap song, I can't give you the title of the song. I wouldn't give you the title of the song because of family situations and little children. But the reason I'm mentioning this is that recently Cardi B and Joe Biden have been buddy, and chirping like a couple of sparrows back and forth at each other like, oh, I love you, I love your music, oh, I'm a supporter of Joe Biden, etc., etc. This record is so bad that news agencies and news network programs can't even put the title on the air, let alone me, because I wouldn't anyway. And why would a presidential hopeful, even though he is of limited faculties, Joe Biden, probably not smart enough to understand who Cardi B is and what kind of filth she endorses, why would they go on a split screen together like they're long-lost buddies? To me, that would be such a denigration of your candidacy, associating with the lowest of lowlifes. But today, that seems to be an accepted practice of the left. Now, for those of you in the audience that are probably scurrying to your computer, or those of you in the audience that know of the song of which I'm speaking, you know it's just trash. And to be quite frank with you, I think Cardi B is trash. But Joe Biden, and not that I'm trying to help Joe Biden at all, never. But why would you want to put yourself down in the gutter, if you're a presidential hopeful? Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Please give me a call. While I'm waiting for your call, I want to talk to you about Anthony, my old buddy. I've known him for a long time at Save on Shells. If you're driving down Overland, you can't miss him. I'm telling you, 1827 Overland, he's got camper shells here. He's got camper shells there. He's got camper shells behind. He's got camper shells stacked up over there. I'm telling you, he's got all the certain styles and colors. Well, I'll tell you, it's all there with Save on Shells with Anthony. And they've got the ARE camper shells, lifetime warranty, and I'm telling you, they're good. How do I know that? Because I own one. And you talk about service, this guy can really help you. Save on Shells, 1827 Overland and Burley. The number to call Anthony, 312-1525. That number again, 312-1525. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning again. It's so humorous that I just got to tell you about it. And I watched that thing on Joe Biden and whatever her name is.
Cardi B.
But I could just imagine him trying to get close to her to sniff her hair.
Well, I don't even go there, Keith. I mean, it's sick enough as it is without adding a dimension that's repulsive.
Well, the whole thing is repulsive.
That's right.
The whole interview was.
That's right.
He acted like they were the best friends in the whole world, and they would do anything in the world for one another. And,
yeah.
And, you know, just it was slimy. That's what I would say.
I think that's a good word. It was slimy and sleazy, and I would honestly, Keith, I can't imagine presidential hopefuls in the past that would sidle up to someone as low in stature as Cardi B. I guess she's well accepted in the rap group, and with the younger generation that can appreciate or likes to appreciate her filth. But I'm telling you, I couldn't possibly put the title of that song on my program. I would never air it on my program so people could hear how bad it really is. Why would anybody in their right mind, which says a lot about how Joe Biden is not in his right mind, want to get next to somebody for an endorsement like Cardi B?
I don't know, but it got worse than that. I just tuned in one time, and there she was dancing.
Yeah.
But she didn't have very many clothes on.
Well, it's all solicitous type and gratuitous type sex on recordings and the videos, and the name of the song and the title of the song, the verbiage in the song, repulsive. Keith, thank you so much for your calling in. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, and she's not even a pretty person. She got fingernails that are 5-inch.
No, she's so repulsive. I mean, my goodness. You talk about clean and wholesome, she doesn't understand the words. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, buddy. Caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental Sales, Service and Parts, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, with Eli and the crew, and the Nampa location. And it goes without saying that if you're looking for equipment like the Bobcats, they've got all the Bobcats, all the shapes and sizes. They've got all the trenchers, the scissor lifts. They've got all the Doosan wheel loaders and excavators for all the lifting, the digging, the pushing, and the carrying. I'm telling you what, they've got it all. And it's so easy. They got great financing rates if you want to buy, or excellent lease programs. Check it out today. Barry Equipment and Rental in Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. Caller, good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
My friend.
I think he's probably befriending her so he can appeal to the people that listen to that kind of music.
Oh, that's the fact. I mean, it appeals to a certain aspect of our society, which I think is a very low-life society. I've always said, and for somebody that's offended by this, I don't really care, rap music is rap music without the real letter in front of it, the C.
You hit the nail on the head there. I don't understand how white people will listen to that. I mean, first off, if you believe in God, why would you listen to something that degrading?
Well, are you aware, I think you are because you're a news junkie like I am, but you're probably aware of the title of the song and the verbiage in the song, and it's totally classless.
Well, there you go. That's it right there. It's classless. Classist. Tongue got tied there. And look who Joe's pandering to.
That's the point. I can't, when you look back at people like, let's just pick names out of a hat. George Bush, Sr. and Jr., and look back at Gerald Ford. Look at Ronald Reagan. There'd be a good example. Would Ronald Reagan ever have lowered his stature to sidle up next to somebody like Cardi B?
No. For one thing, I believe Ronald Reagan was a true Christian, and that's how he led his life. And you could tell a person's character by their actions.
Yep.
Their words. Yeah. They're words, unless they back them up.
Well, I've taken 2 nights of trying to watch and trying to take notes on the incompetent idiocy of the Democratic National Convention. I've tried to give them a break, and I've tried to be fair. But when they sit there and they have all these Looney Tunes come up with the headshots giving their speech about how great Joe Biden is and how wonderful the ticket of Biden and Harris is going to be, and they totally ignore the circumstances that are prevalent in America today that need to be addressed: crime, looting, burning, mobs, and all the absolute disdain for our police forces. These people are hypocrites. They're not even telling the truth in one small smidge.
Not even close. Like Kerry talking about President Trump's foreign policy is a joke. It's a blooper reel when he goes overseas. Kerry needs to look in the mirror.
John Kerry is not smart enough to find the closet where the mirror is hanging on the door. Let me just tell you, John Kerry, Mr. Ketchup, he wants to get us to what he said, back to the good old days. And I'm assuming that those good old days are airplanes going over to Iran with pallets of cash from the United States to supposedly buy the Iranians peace.
Yes. And I would love to know how much kickback from Iran came back to Kerry and Obama and those crew.
Oh, gee, Doug, how dare you say anything so sinister? Well, I'm sure everything was above board with the Obama administration.
Above board of what?
Above board a submarine that's already 10,000 feet below the surface.
Yeah, and then Bill Clinton saying that the or what's that center in the Capitol, where he's saying he doesn't, the buck doesn't stop there. He blames everybody else, doesn't accept blame for his inactions and his wrongdoing.
Bill is in a little bit of a pickle here. I am not going to state this as fact, but you heard the news yesterday on various sources, and there were great insinuations that Bill Clinton, old Bill with his free ways that he had while he was married to Hillary, went to the island of Epstein's choice, and there was some hanky-panky going on that was caught on film. I'm sure you heard about this yesterday.
Well, yes, I heard of that. I've heard of that a long time ago. But these people, they're such hypocrites, and that's the trouble with most of the people on the left. They are hypocrites. They say one thing, but yet they don't back it. And the worst one of them all is Black Lives Matter.
Unfortunately, Doug, and I say this without any tongue-in-cheek, I'm being as straightforward as I can. I really fear for many of the young people in this area of southern Idaho that are being duped and led by the nose to become a part of an insidious Marxist organization, socialist, communist, whatever you want to call it. Black Lives Matter is something that should absolutely be watched, scrutinized, and then hopefully disbanded.
Exactly. These people that are wanting to follow it, I suggest they go to their website and they find out who's sponsoring it. And if you donate to it, they find out who's getting the money. And then see if you want to back it.
Yeah.
And saying Black Lives Matter is saying that they are superior to all other lives on Earth.
We are looking at a major push that they have unveiled the statue, if you will, prior to the election. They've told us what they are. They've told us how much they hate the rest of us. They've told us what they want to do. They've shown us that they hate America and they want to tear it apart piece by piece. So why are we so gullible? And quite frankly, why aren't we standing up and fighting back?
That's it right there. And it's going to come a time. They're going to push the silent majority so far that when we get ready to be pushed over that cliff is when we're going to start fighting back, and they're going to wish like heck they never poked.
But we'd better not wait too long, because if you keep backing up and you put your Tony Lama boot heels on the edge of the cliff, it ain't going to take much to tip you over into the canyon. You better fight before it gets that far.
Yep, and we're one generation of losing America.
I agree. Hey, quickly, tell us about the seniors. I hit the wrong button there, pardon me. And I've got to get into the weather forecast. Quickly, go ahead.
All righty. I have one proverb, a Turkish proverb. The forest was shrinking, but the trees kept voting for the axe. For the axe was clever and convinced the trees that because his handle was made of wood, he was one of them.
Hey, send that to me.
You betcha, sir.
I appreciate it.
Let's do what we can for our senior centers. Let's support them, donate to them, do whatever you can. If it's $10, $5, or $100, they can sure use the help. And go eat there and leave with a full tummy and a full heart.
I love that. Thank you, Doug. God bless you, man. Take care. Thank you. Hey, I want to get the weather forecast in here. I can tell you what it's going to be. Hot. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. I'm telling you what, if you have noticed a diminishment in your hearing and you're going, what? Martha, what did he say? You better call them today and make an appointment. 312-0957. I'll repeat that number. 312-0957. The best serving you, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room. Call them today. 312-0957. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're still in that heat advisory for today, and it's going to be a little bit muggy. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Mostly sunny skies. We are expecting a high of 95. A little bit of a breeze out of the southeast at about 8 miles an hour. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 62. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 92. Winds are going to be picking up just a little bit out of the south. By Thursday night, mostly clear with a low of 56. By Friday, sunny and 92. That's look at your weather for Zeb at the Rain.
Well, thank you very much, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Absolutely with the best of professional and all the scientific values. They've got everything over there. They can really help you with a cognitive health screening and help your hearing today. Give them a call. I bit my tongue. Give them a call at 312-0957. The best serving you, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. You know, think about this. And, again, if you can prove me wrong, do so. I'd love to hear from you. Whether you're right or left in politics, doesn't make any difference to me. Give me a call. But have you heard the Democrats stand up there behind the facade of the cameras with all pre-taped speeches for this convention? Have you heard any of them say what they're going to do for a revalue of America? Maybe there are some things that we have let lapse. Maybe there are some conditions that need to be addressed. But on the whole, we are still, and always have been, the greatest country on the face of the earth. I dare somebody to call right now and tell me a country that is better, a country that has helped more than the United States. Our service and our aid and our money has gone all over the world to aid and abet other countries and circumstances. And millions of people want to come here to the great United States of America. They're not really breaking down the gates to get into Russia. They're not really breaking down some sand dune to get into Iran. They're not really doing anything to get into China. So what does that tell you? We're still the greatest country in the world. It's a God-blessed land. And that last statement is something that the Democrats, are even trying to get rid of that. I just don't understand why the Democratic Party has allowed themselves to go so much in the gutter, and they won't honor what this great country really is. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, you've only had the same number on this program, Zeb, for what, 20 years, and you blew it? Sorry about that. There is a manhunt underway for the absolute loser who walked up to a man that was already beaten and subdued in Portland, sitting on the ground, bloodied, had no idea where he was. He was absolutely in kind of a semi-conscious state. And this lowlife walked up and kicked him in the back of the head, knocking him unconscious, his head hitting the pavement, and he never moved. Yes, they say there's a manhunt underway for this vermin. And I hope they get him. And I hope he ends up in prison for a minimum of 20 years. But there were others. There were many others of these mobsters, these punks, worthless punks, that created this violence against this man and this woman in Portland the other evening in their rampage of burning, looting, and destroying. So let's take the video, the entirety of the video, which I listened to the guy that shot the video this morning, and there easily could stop the frames and find many, many, many others that were involved in the punching and the beating and the pushing and the knocking to the ground of these two people. Let's get them all. Let's get them all. And whether they hire the sleazy attorneys or not, let's lock them up. Lock them up. Use them as a focal point to stop these other idiots from doing the same thing. Portland, Seattle, Chicago, New York, the list goes on and on. It's like a merry-go-round of people that are burning, looting, and destroying the fabric of America, the values of America, and it's all predestined and preordained by a Democratic Party that won't say, come here from Sikkim, as far as trying to stop this problem. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Caller, good morning, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
It's me again.
Oh, hello, Martha.
Margaret.
That's I said it wrong, didn't I? I meant to say Margaret, and Martha popped out, but anyway, both ladies are upset at you.
I know it. Anyway, let's use the left and the Democrats' words against them on this. No one is above the law.
Bingo.
They've said it, so let's make them back it. No one is above the law.
But they won't even enforce it.
They won't even admit it. And the district attorney back there in Portland, the one prosecuting attorney, is dropping charges on a lot of these protesters that have been arrested.
Yeah, it's like a turnstile getting onto the subway, and you've paid your nickel and the wheel keeps rolling. It didn't stop. They're letting these people out and not paying any sacrifice for their ill ways to the American public. This is insane.
It is. And when someone is not held accountable, you take a child that does something wrong. If you do not hold them accountable to teach them a lesson, they will keep doing it over and over and over.
Well, there's a discussion there because when I was a child and I knew Dad would be home at exactly 3:45 in the afternoon, my life was over as I knew it.
Exactly. Exactly. That's the same way with my dad. I remember I got a spanking at school, and he told me if I ever got a spanking at school, that I'd get two when I got home.
You know, the worst thing that can happen, and I don't mean to get sidetracked on this, but, you know, talk about punishment and things that we did wrong that we could associate with the low-class young people of today. Not all of them, but the ones that are involved in these riots. When Mrs. Kiltz, my elementary teacher, would send a note home with me as to what the problem was, that was like carrying your own death sentence.
It was. It was terrible. Yes, and then I remember Mr. Pash said, well, I'm going to call your dad.
Oh, boy.
Well, apparently he didn't because he knew dang good and well that if he did, I was going to get... So he just scared me with it.
Well, I know Mrs. Kills called my dad one time, and she said exactly the time she was going to call. And I looked at the clock, and I thought, Lord, take me away. It's all over. I got to run, Doug. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Hey, God bless.
All right. Thank you. Hey, don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you, and serving is the key word, and they've got great on the farm, on the dairy, on the ranch service. All you have to do is call them. Vroom, vroom. They'll have a service truck right over to you. You can bet on it. The best serving you, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, with all the great tires, tread designs, all the sizes for your vehicles, whether it's a car, pickup, SUV, horse trailer, boat trailer, you name it. They know tires. And the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries. Whew, it's all there at all 7 locations. James and Buell, Dan on Poline in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, the Twist family in Paul, and Trent on Overland and Burley. The best, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Want to give a great big shout out to a very, very good friend of Deanne and myself, Donna Mass. We wish you the very, very best. I understand you're going in for an MRI today. We pray for you and wish you the best. Donna, God bless you. Thank you. We're going to take a little break for about 7 minutes and let the big boys from CBS come in here and mess everything up. We'll be back in 7. Good morning and welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch on this Wednesday, August the 19th already, and glad to have you aboard with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you, and serving is the key word, in a very safe, clean environment and the best in tires. Also, our big thanks go out to Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Before we go any further, let's have this good word for Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're all at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this free land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
A lot of people forget about Western Waste Services having all the porta potties. Yes, if you're having an event, maybe you're having a big company picnic, whatever, and you've got the food lined up, you got all the table service lined up, you got all the chairs and everything. Oh, you forgot the porta potties. They've got them all at Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. You call those good folks today at 734-6969. Really good people. Another group that I want to say really good people, and we were there yesterday, and Nick Greenwell, of course, the world's best physical therapist and the owner, along with all the other physical therapists at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Woo, they do a great job. I mean, they're so personable, and they're so caring, and they know their trade to help you get back to being you. Call them today at 678-1191. 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Absolutely the best. Oh, and by the way, too, one of the sponsors that have been on this program, I think, all the way from the get-go, over 20 years ago, Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert, with Joel Heward, family, and staff. They care. That sums it up. They really care, and they are there to work with you and your family in a really great time of trial and tribulation. When there's the passing of a loved one, they're there to serve you with the best possible support and comfort. And remember this, always with the highest ethical standards and unquestioned integrity. Call the number 436-5636, Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. And Joel Heward also also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Wow, one more quick note. I bet old James Herson is chomping on the bit over there. I'm a-coming. Don't forget Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, America's Diner. Oh, we're going to be over there next week on Thursday at 11:30 for Zeb's Lunch Bunch like we are every month. It's going to be delicious. All the food is, whether it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner, anytime, all the time, and all the desserts. Great people, nice people at Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley. Yep, it's true, America's Diner. After all that, now we say good morning to attorney and political analyst and a good friend of this program, James Herson. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing as well as can be expected in this very dire time that we're living in. How are you, Zeb?
Well, I know that you're a Christian. I'm a Christian, so we're going to be on an even keel and on the same sheet of paper here this morning. I am extremely concerned about the culture and the values and the Constitution and the future of America, because all those things mentioned, I don't see any good coming out of the Democratic National Convention if they take over power.
Well, I think that what the Democrat Party has become is a menace and an enemy of America. Look, at the DNC and in their office holding Democratic politicians will not denounce the crimes, the insurrections, the terrorism of Antifa and BLM. And the money that BLM gets, they're giving to Democrats. And that's part of the reason that the Democrats won't denounce them. And therefore, what we're seeing is our urban areas of America being destroyed. And that's not an exaggeration. If you look at Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, it looks like after a war, like a bomb hit it. It's all boarded up. There are no people. People in New York City are trapped in a real estate market that has crashed. The situation with housing is a disaster with 30 to 50% vacancy. The same thing in Chicago, where Macy's is leaving. It's my hometown. And it's like that all over the country. Yesterday, it came out that in the city of Las Vegas, which is located in Clark County, the surrounding metro area of Las Vegas, there are 250,000 people who are about to face eviction. So all of this, it was brought on as a stunt by a party that is trying to harm America in order to unseat this president. It's very clear that the rioting was orchestrated. There were bricks delivered strategically. They're very well funded. They have Molotov cocktails. They have high-powered lasers. So this is essentially war. And the Democratic Party is waging war against the American people. And at the same time, they're trying, as they've pointed the finger and said, preserve our democracy, they are trying to destroy representative democracy through a scheme of manipulation of the vote like no one has ever seen in any country in history, with a 340 million person population, that they are going to try to have all the ballots in a universal mail-in scheme, which is, it's just a formula of facilitation of absolute manipulation. So these are the people, we're so concerned about Russian meddling. We're concerned about Russians buying a few Facebook ads, and while they attempt to destroy American infrastructure, destroy America's reputation, destroy parts of American industry, destroy our small businesses, and undermine our churches at the same time. And so that's why in my article I mentioned Andrew Breitbart said politics is downstream from culture. We're way beyond that now. What we have is authoritarian politics, and it's not the American model that we're experiencing. It's the Chinese model.
Mm-hmm.
It's top-down, changing the culture. What is cultural Marxism? What it means is they are going to wholesale, using violence, intimidation, make a wholesale change to the American culture by erasing the history and the heritage, and by replacing that history and heritage with this fake creed of wokeism. And that's what we saw on display at the so-called DNC convention. It's absolutely shameful to see the kind of sick infomercial that they put on, the amount of blatant lying that they engaged in. It's unbelievable.
James, I got to ask you this. I was talking the other day, this last Saturday, as a matter of fact, with a good friend of mine, and we were talking about the Bible, and we were talking about God's Word, and we were talking about the slanderous efforts that are taking place on the left to deem the Bible hate speech, with a potential gathering up just like in Germany and burning all the Bibles because they don't want God's Word in our society. I know a lot of people think I'm crazy for saying this. They say, oh, that'll never happen. But I'll tell you what, if the ministers and pastors and leaders of churches all across America don't get up from hiding behind the pulpit and start preaching and telling America what's going on, it could happen.
Oh, sure. I mean, every country that lost its freedom had people saying it can't happen here. What is currently going on in this country are things that we're seeing on our television screens and devices. A few years ago, we would say that can't happen here. So, yes, it's very clear that we now have people both in government and outside of government who wish to control what we think and eliminate certain expression. And religious expression is one of those things. I said we're the Chinese model. In China, religion is persecuted, and they're cracking down right now. I mean, there are a large amount of pastors and priests who are in prisons, and many who are in slave camps. And there's ultimately the only acceptable religion is communism in China. Well, look at what we have now with our tech oligarchy. Anything that's overtly religious, that speaks to the portion of God's Word that the political correct woke crowd doesn't like, they literally remove it, and they remove it on pretext. I mean, a good example, which is not religious, is something, people may not agree with it, but there was this Shadowgate documentary by Millie Weaver, and that was taken down on Facebook, Google. Her account was suspended at Twitter, and they called it hate speech, when it really was something, an expose on what people refer to as the deep state. We have blatant censorship of Prager University, and we have hate crimes now morphing into hate speech statutes, where it's very clear that portions of the Bible quoted verbatim would, in parts of the world, result in criminal fines, criminal punishment, even jail. And so, yes, there is clearly a beginning of a persecution against religion, and you're absolutely right. This type of thing starts out with, a toe or a little finger, and then it moves into something much more powerful, and that's exactly the way it's happened in other parts of the world. Now, a pastor in California named John MacArthur brought a court case against some of the selective restrictions against his church and has won at the lower level of the California state courts. And we've also seen some other religious institutions fighting back. But the problem is there has to be a coalition. It has to be, and usually it's the same coalition that has been able to move forward on the life issue and the religious expression issue. It's a coalition of evangelicals, Catholics, Mormons, Orthodox. They all kind of get together, and that has to happen now.
James, let me ask you, you've been a good friend of this program for a couple of years now, and I've watched and followed you as you go on TV and are interviewed by other hosts and other shows, etc. But what is your answer when you are asked this following question? What happened to America? What happened to our culture? What happened to our values? What happened to our religion? What happened to our family values, etc.? Why and how did we get in this position to where we would even think of adopting the filthy principles of the left?
Well, I think there are some very important institutions in this country that have, over the last few decades, have been taken over by people who have the philosophy of Bill Ayers. They don't have the philosophy of Democrats we know of the past, JFK, Harry Truman. They have the philosophy of the squad, which is Bill Ayers. Which is, if you don't know Bill Ayers was one of the heads of the Weather Underground going back in the 60s, which it called himself a communist. And so what we allowed academia to be taken over. And when I say academia, I'm talking about kindergarten to PhD. I'm talking about the curriculum, the materials, what has been taught to our children in the public schools and to some extent even in the private schools. We all know the news media, it slowly morphed into something that we know has nothing to do with journalism and nothing to do with news, and has everything to do with propaganda and towing the party line, the Democrat party line. And we know what has happened to entertainment, where a lot of young people get their news. Entertainment in the form of late-night shows, in the form of sitcoms, dramas, comedies, made-for-TV movie, made-for-cable, and what used to be called feature films. Hollywood has become extremely woke, moved into an area where we know most of Hollywood and the Democrat Party and the news media and academia are to the left of Bernie Sanders. And Bernie Sanders is not a Democrat, nor has he ever been a Democrat. He's a registered socialist. And you can't really get to the left of Bernie Sanders without falling off the edge, meaning that you're in the land of Stalinism. And that's why I say the authoritarian model is clearly what we've moved into. That's why this is a very extremely critical period when you think of the idea that people look into a camera and tell us on major media outlets that they would like to defund our law enforcement, and essentially then they would like Antifa and BLM to replace
Mm-hmm.
the law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
And then the discussions of the Democrat Party grabbing for not just power, but absolute power, getting rid of the Senate filibuster, getting rid of the Electoral College, adding 2 or 3 more states, and basically bringing in millions of new Democratic voters to vote illegally with getting rid of borders. If people haven't figured that out, you could put all those puzzle pieces together. What you have is a one-party state, and if all of the New Green Deal, the Socialist agenda, the open borders, the defunding of the police creates a banana republic.
Yes.
And if it's a one-party rule and it has mail-in voting, that's, I think, another word for that is a dictatorship. And that's what the Democrats are reaching for.
You know, James, quickly, I've only got about 3 minutes left, and I do want you to comment. I said earlier this morning that I found it repulsive that Joe Biden would saddle up and sit next to, via the television screen, a rapper, a filthy rapper like Cardi B, with a song that I can't even relate the title to on my program, nor would I. And you would think someone that's running for the presidency would be a little careful about the people that he associates with, has his picture taken with, etc. Joe Biden and Cardi B, that's disgusting.
Oh, it is. It is so utterly disgusting. And it's something that Tucker Carlson talked about last night. I was so glad. And what he said, I think to your audience needs to be said. Go to a search engine, go to your computer, and for the sake of people you know who have young children, or if you have young children, or if you have grandchildren, look up this. It's one of the most popular songs in America, titled W.A.P. by Cardi B. This is a song that has lyrics that if a high school student 5 years ago was caught writing these words, they would be suspended from school. And this is the most horrid, degrading, objectifying, disgusting, I have run out of adjectives, a depiction of human beings who are female that has ever been put together. It is absolutely shameful that the record company, Atlantic Records, would put out this filth knowing that there are young people that would be exposed to it. And it is disgusting that someone like Cardi B would go out there and make money, and then for the Democrat Party and for the handlers of Joe Biden, who's we know has some cognitive problems, but for him to actually sit down, and he interviewed her, it sounded like, and then give credence. This man who wants to be the leader of the free world sits down with a woman who wants to teach our young girls how to become effective in the oldest profession. Now, I have to speak euphemistically, but she talks in street profanity about female anatomy, about male anatomy, about details of the intimate act of procreation, but does it in the most vile, offensive way possible, and puts it together in this. And of course, this gets publicity as we're giving it now, but parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, people who care at all about women should be outraged and should make sure that this stuff does not come into their home.
Absolutely.
Because it's absolutely the most vile lyric ever written.
Yes.
And Joe Biden sits down and legitimizes it.
Yes.
And that should kill his campaign. His campaign should be over
now.
I
That one thing.
I totally agree. James, I ran out of time. I'm so sorry because I appreciate your time of coming on my program. You've been a great friend of mine over the years. Thank you. I'm going to call you back in the not distant future and have you back. James Herson, thank you so much.
Thank you, Zeb. Take care.
All right, sir. Attorney and political analyst and a real good friend of the show, James Herson. Thank you very, very much. Want to remind everybody about Anthony and Save on Shells at 1827 Overland and Burley. Hey, you're looking for a camper shell for your pickup? Well, you got to protect everything that's in the bed, your tools, maybe your saddles, whatever the case might be. Well, Anthony has all the best of shells at Save on Shells. I'm not kidding. There's shells stacked up over here. Here's a shell. There's a shell. There's another one over there. He's got the best of ARE shells with a lifetime warranty. I'm telling you, this man is quality service and low prices all wrapped up in the name of Anthony and Save on Shells. And the number to call, 312-1525. You call him today. Anthony at Save on Shells, 1827 Overland and Burley, 312-1525. Want to also remind you that it's going to be hot. I mean, it is hot. And Leland over at Snyder Surplus at 116 South 200 West of Rupert says, hey, they got the Portacools, the Swamp Coolers on wheels. They've got the big shop fans. And for those that are homeschooling, don't forget, they've got all the desks, and they've got backpacks, and they've got kids' DVDs and more. You better check out Homeschoolers Snyder Surplus at 116 South 200 West of Rupert. Number to call, 438-5486. In just a moment, we're going to have another dear friend of this program on the air, and that's going to be Dan Perkins coming up momentarily. But before we go there, I want to remind everybody about get out of town, get up in the hills, and enjoy the great wild nature of Idaho. I mean, get on a trail and just forget your cell phone and go up and enjoy on a side-by-side or a four-wheeler from Let's Ride. Absolutely. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 2. And it's no exaggeration. They've got all the great side-by-sides and four-wheelers, a showroom jam-packed with fun. Stop over and see them today, and don't forget they've got all the accessories and a super service department to keep you running at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. While you're over in that neck of the woods or that part of the desert, don't forget Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, service to you. Todd and the staff are very dedicated and very devoted to serving you and making sure you're taken care of. I urge you to call the number 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Well, it's kind of Old Friends Week today, and it has been for the last couple of days, and we always look forward to having this gentleman on our show. He is an outstanding author and another great political analyst and really knows what's going on. And I want to compliment him up front on an article that he wrote called Our Teachers Essential Employees, one of the best I've ever read. Dan Perkins, my friend, how are you?
Good, and it's good to be back with you. It's been a while.
It has been. You've gone through some rough weather down in Florida over the last couple of weeks, have you not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Windstorms and heavy rains, but we're surviving.
Well, I understand that it was pretty tough and always hot and humid down there, and we're going through some heat up here, up into the hundreds. I want to get right into the story and the article that you had written called Our Teachers Essential Employees. I have maintained for a long time, Dan, that the ludicrous closing of schools way back in March, and now perhaps the extension going into the fall for elementary, high school, and college and universities, absolutely ridiculous. I'll let you pick it up from there.
Oh, I absolutely agree with you. I wrote a long time ago, early on, February, March, closing the schools was the wrong thing to do. So as I began to listen to the rhetoric from the left and the demands of the teachers, I think that the one thing, Zeb, that ticked me off more than anything else is that California teachers said that they would not send their teachers back into the classroom unless their demands were met. And you would have thought that their demands would have something to do with safety. The two of their demands were the removal of Donald Trump as President of the United States and free Medicare for all. None of that had anything to do with what's going on in the classroom. And I think at that point in time is when I began to think about this idea that school teachers, and I found in the article, and it's posted on my website, danperkins.guru, in the article is the Department of Homeland Security's Special Operations Unit, which put out 14 positions, 14 jobs or areas of employment that are critical to the country. And under number 10, it says educators. So there's clearly precedent in the federal law that says that teachers are essential personnel. And then the other thing that hit me, which is just touched on at the very end of the article, Zeb, is that we have about 6.1 million people employed in public education in the United States. 3.1 million are teachers, 3 million are cafeteria workers, librarians, bus drivers, administrators. And if you look at all the rhetoric coming out of the two major teacher unions, the NEA and the American Federation of Teachers, AFT, there's no discussion about what about the rest of the employees in the school. It's about the teachers. And if you think about a bus driver, there's 480,000 school buses in service in the United States, and 21 million students a day would ride on those school buses. Nothing about protecting the drivers or making school buses safer. So the rhetoric is inappropriate, and we need to understand that the CDC data doesn't support the teachers' contention that it's not safe to send the children back to school. And so I just felt it was time for somebody to stand up and say, hey, let's call them to task, and that's why I wrote the article.
One of the sentences of your article that jumped right out and hit me smack in the face, you were talking about the different people working in different jobs, talking about supermarkets and people that serve the public. And then here's the sentence that really hit me the hardest. Over the last 5 months, we could have had 5 billion with a B visits to the markets with only 65 deaths.
Yes. And 9,800 people diagnosed with the virus. But again, this is a union situation where they're trying to go after Donald Trump. And if you look at the rest of the story, there were 100,000 workers in the supermarkets in the United States last year that were injured, and the 65 people that died. And I make the point, and I believe it. The 65, every life is important. Every life counts. All lives matter. And it's sad that those 65 people died. But Zeb, if you think about it in another context, if we look at the total number of students in the public school system at about 51 million, and then on top of that, you say, okay, how many students out of 51 million in K through 12 have actually died from the virus? The last number that I found was 14. 14. Now, just to show you the issue of priority, Zeb, we want to shut down the entire public education system because 14 children have died. Okay, I understand and believe every life is important. All lives matter. However, where is the outrage at the 3,000 children who were murdered, some in their sleep, over the last 6 months?
Yes.
And the 5,800 that were shot and injured.
Yes.
Where is the outcry of doing something about it when we've got 5,800 children that are injured or killed, and we're talking about 14 children who have died of the virus?
Absolutely.
Priorities are wrong.
You know, Dan, if I may be so rude to jump in and steal some of your thunder, but I want to comment and read a paragraph that you put in here, and I want you to really discern what you meant, because I think this is the most poignant paragraph in the whole story. Quote, most public schools in the United States are funded by real estate taxes. If parents are not able to work from home, they may well lose their jobs. Staying home to care for children will mean the amount of household income will diminish, and the default in the payments of real estate taxes will start to increase. The tax policy centers estimate that tax revenue at the state and local levels will decline by $200 billion with a B by the end of next year, 2021. Wow, that is staggering.
It's staggering, and again, I would guess, I know you're a very wise man and you see a lot of stuff. That's probably the first time you've ever seen those numbers.
Yes.
Because nobody in the media is going into it and say, what are the ramifications of keeping the schools closed and not allowing parents to go back to work? And that is the economic problem. And we had the president who extended a couple of Saturdays ago the protection of people from being evicted from their homes. What we don't understand are not giving enough weight to that there is a domino effect. If you close schools, then parents, at least one parent, and we have a lot of two-parent working households to survive, one of those parents is going to have to stay home to take care of the children. And as a result, whatever that income that person might have been earning is potentially gone. So the economic impact of keeping the schools closed is that household income will decline. The next crescendo to that is if economic income declines, where does the value come from to pay the property taxes and other bills? And one other thing to add to that is that if you look at what's going on in the country, because interest rates are so low, mortgages are so low, we're seeing housing prices in some areas starting to go up, which means that eventually the property taxes will go up on that property because of a higher valuation. If you've got no income or very little income, you're not going to be able to pay the tax bill.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a question for you, Dan. Go ahead, caller. Quickly, you're on the air.
Yes. You know, Clark County, Nevada has 700 school buses. The whole valley of Las Vegas is just one district. And I don't know how 4 or 5 people can manage that whole district. But I guess they think they can.
All right. Is that your comment to Dan? Go ahead, Dan.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
The issue here is a very important one. That is we have school boards that are in many parts of the country are elected. People run for the school board, and they're political positions. And I could tell you stories of places that have spent ungodly amounts of money to do nothing, and sometimes that money went to a family member or somebody related, and we didn't get anything. You know, we keep talking about what we hear from the Democrats is we need to pay teachers more, and that'll solve us. Well, we've got a fundamental problem, Seb, and it is that the curriculum in the public schools, and I know this is going to sound harsh, I'm not sure it's worth teaching anymore.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And I think more and more people, parents, mothers and fathers, are looking at what's trying to be taught in the schools, and they're opposed to it, and they're looking at alternatives. That's why we're seeing a significant growth rate in the number of students going into charter schools and private schools.
Yes.
Because the parents are not satisfied with what's going on. And what we hear is, well, we need to pay our teachers more. Well, I'm not going to disagree that everybody couldn't use more money, but let's look at what they're doing. Let's evaluate what they're doing. And as long as you have a political process driven on parties, you're going to have the Democrats who are going to want to get more, raise taxes to produce more money to pay teachers, and that will solve the problem. Well, we've done that time and time again, and it hasn't solved the problem.
We also, I want you to elaborate on this, Dan, and I got about 3.5 minutes left. But the teachers' unions, when they come out in their force and their verbiage and they demand of the public that all police should be off campuses. We won't come back to school until police are gone. And then some of the ludicrous things they said, like, we want cancellation of all rent, which is an ambiguous statement that I still don't understand. The teachers' unions have way too much power going into this, whether or not to open or close schools.
Right. And the parents have less.
Yes.
Less and less power. And I think that we have to change that. And we've got a bureaucracy. The problem with the public education sector in the country today is, in my opinion, there's no competition. They have a monopoly. And many of these people who are trying to set up charter schools and private schools are looking for alternatives. And if we get viable alternatives, that will have a positive impact on what the public schools do. But if we don't have competition, the quality of education, and if you look at the international testing standards, we are no longer first in math or language or science. We're third or fourth or fifth. So we're our students, our children are degrading. And Zeb, think about it this way. If you shut the schools and you don't teach children, how far behind are we going to become as a nation?
Absolutely.
One last point.
Yep.
Not talked about, but very important. The incidence of suicide in high school and depression and anxiety treatment in elementary and high schools is off the charts in this country. And the longer we keep children out of a social environment, the more depressed they're going to be, the more we're going to see increase in suicides, and the more they're going to get behind.
Dan, it's been way too long since we've had you on the air. It will not happen again. God bless you, and thank you for your time this morning. Dan Perkins, you are a valued spoke in the wheel right here at Zeb at the Ranch. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Take care.
God bless. I really enjoy having that man on the air. He knows what he's talking about, let me tell you. Hey, I want to remind you, too, quickly, I've got a whole bunch of things to get on here quickly, and then we're going to have the weather, but I want to remind you about Patterson's Electronics. Oh, these people know everything electronics. I mean, whether it's home theater systems, video surveillance cameras, car stereos and speakers, complete sound systems, all the best of TVs featuring Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, LG TVs. Oh boy, they've got all the television sets for you. And they're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6. I urge you today, if it's anything electronic, they know. Curtis and Lorena can help you. Patterson's Electronics, 421 East Main in Burley. Number to call, 678-6997. Right now, without further ado, we're going to do the weather forecast. And if you think Zeb's behind a little bit this hour, oh boy, am I ever. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, the professionals providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. They are the professionals with tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, bookkeeping services, retirement planning, all of these issues and more. They can help you. That's right, you, your family, and your business. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're still in that heat advisory for today, and it's going to be a little bit muggy. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Mostly sunny skies. We are expecting a high of 95. A little bit of a breeze out of the southeast at about 8 miles an hour. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 62. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 92. Winds are going to be picking up just a little bit out of the south by Thursday night. Mostly clear with a low of 56 by Friday. Sunny and 92. That's look at your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thanks, Gina. Appreciate it. I'll tell you what, it's going to be hot for the next couple of days. I went out to feed my steers last night and everything, and had to move some hay around, and I thought, holy smokes, I didn't know I was standing in the shower. I mean, I was sweating. It was hot out there. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, the professionals providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for, like I said, over 50 years. They are the best. Please let them serve you. Get a hold of them today. Offices at 1710 Overland in Burley and 625th Street in Rupert. Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. A couple of tidbits that you need to watch for if you're going to watch the Democratic National Convention. I don't know why anybody would. I tried. I mean, I was so diligent in my taking a notepad and a pen and sitting down, and I'm going to take notes and I'm going to follow this thing. I couldn't do it. I can't do it. It is nothing more than a telethon. It is nothing more than an orchestrated, here we're going to listen to so-and-so that's on tape. Here we're going to listen to so-and-so that made their canned speech a week ago. It's honestly, it has no personality. I think that's the best way to put it. It has no personality, which, of course, that same statement could be construed as the backbone of the Democratic Party. No personality. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Hey, some of the great businesses that want you to come to the Cache County Fair and Rodeo include Butte Irrigation at 116 South, 600 West, Highway 27 in Paul, or north of Kimberly on Red Cap Corner. Absolutely the best, Butte Irrigation. And now's the time to think about putting in a Newsmatic pivot. They'll get you wet at Butte Irrigation. Don't forget Mountain Transmissions, 1146 East Main in Burley with old Rick. I mean, boy, they really can help you in your transmission. They've been doing this for over 30 years, and they've got the greatest of technology for you, Mountain Transmissions. And last but not least, AMI, 719 Overland and Burley. Look for the big 28-foot wrench over the door. It says go nuts over their bolts. You betcha they're always community-oriented and serving you, AMI in Burley. All right, give me a call on the hotline. Zebit the Ranch, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Boy, there was a crackle there like we had an electrical charge someplace. Sean, did you hear that? It about knocked my headsets off.
Yeah, I heard it. I'm not sure what it was.
We do have, I think Gina said, the possibility of thunderstorms and some electricity in the air. Is that not right? He's gone. Okay. Answering the phone, probably. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. One thing I wanted to mention before I go any further is... I don't know about you folks, but my wife and I are averaging, I'm not making this up, between 8 and 12 robocalls a day, both on my office phone and my cell phone. And some of them are with live callers, and some of the stupid reactions that we're getting off our answering machine. I'll give you one. There was a guy that called yesterday, and Deanne and I were gone, and I came home and I played the messages, and here's what he said. Hello, this is Jim. Hello? Hello? I can hear you breathing. We weren't even home. And then the other one was a lady called, and she says, hello, my name is, and I think she said Lisa, with such and such a company, and she says, hello? I said, hello, are you listening to me? I mean, they're very demanding, and I'm glad it was on the answering machine. But that's the kind of robocalls. Are you getting the same? Are you getting the same amount? Are you having to run to your telephone and then listen to this garbage on the phone, or your cell phone keeps ringing and ringing and ringing, and you're in a meeting or you're conversing with somebody, and you get this garbage? It's beyond the pale right now. Robocalls. I wish there was a definitive way, and if somebody knows the answer to this, a definitive way, how they got my cell phone number, I'll never know. But, boy, they are, I've had 3 here in the studio since I started the program at 8:06 this morning on my cell phone. It's agonizing. You know what? I'm going to tell you right now about some great places to go and enjoy a meal. If you're hungry and starving to death, I know exactly where you can go. Let's start this off by saying AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley, right across from the fairgrounds. You can't miss it. They've got all the kids' meals. They've got all the burgers. Oh, they've got that famous Farmer Brown burger that'll knock your boots off delicious. They've got the lemon and orange freezes. You better stop in there today and enjoy the AC Drive-In, 601 East Main in Burley. Let's move on over. Taco Bandito at 2301 Overland in Burley. And they're back to normal. I'm telling you what, what a great place to go in the morning for your coffee, and then also order one of those breakfast burritos. Have you had one of those scrambled eggs, bacon, sausage, cheese, onions, tomatoes, and sauce on a tortilla shell? What a way to start the day. It's great. Taco Bandito. Check out the great menu at 2301 Overland in Burley. And, of course, burgers, etc. Not one, but two locations. 124 South Oneida in Rupert and 700 Overland in Burley. Oh, listen to this. I can't believe this. Corn dogs and burritos for only $1.29. Load me up. I'm telling you, great food. Really, really nice people to serve you at not one, but two locations of burgers, etc., Rupert and Burley. And last but not least, Steve-O's, 290 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Food made the way you love it. They've got great steaks, fillets, ribeyes, sirloins, and the patio's open in good weather, live music on the weekends. Oh, and they've got cupcakes. They've got a full menu of great eating and nice people helping you at Steve-O's, 290 South, 600 west of Hayburn. Food made the way you love it. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. I think I have an idea how those robocalls get our numbers.
How's that, Rod?
They start dialing them in numerical order, starting with 0000000, then 01, then 02, then 03, and so on and so forth.
Oh, I never thought of that. It sounds rather time-consuming and not beneficial to me, but I'll guarantee you I wish them all the ill will in the world. I'm sick of running to the phone and listening to their charming, sweet, repulsive voice.
Me too, and I'm sick of it too, but, that would be I think that's a perfectly logical explanation how they get the number. They just, stumble on it by dialing in numerical order.
All right. Well, Rod, appreciate your call. Thank you, buddy. Go answer the phone. It's ringing. It's a robocall.
Yeah, I think I'll just let it ring.
All right, buddy. Thanks a lot. Hey, real quick, before I go any further, I've got to tell everybody about Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. My goodness, our good old buddy Jeff over at Lee's Furniture, he wants you to know that they've got all your furniture. They have all your sofas and love seats. They have got all the recliners. As a matter of fact, they really pride themselves on having the best selection of recliners anywhere, anytime. I urge you to get in there today. And don't forget, they're having a sale on Simmons Beauty Rest mattresses for a good night's sleep. And 40% off on all the window coverings, too. You better stop in and talk to the people that really know and can help you with the beautification and comfortization of your home. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more at 459 Overland in Burley. Let's go to the news from CBS. I'll be back in 7. Oh, yeah, the music and the drums. Here we go, hour number 3. And boy, are we going to be blessed. We have the man. I mean, the man. His face is up on Mount Rushmore. Terry Thompson with the Fishing Game. And he's the communications director. And we're going to have him on the air momentarily. But first of all, I got to tell you, Zeb at the Ranch brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Along with our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, location at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. One of the great advertisers that we highlight every day at this time, Greystone Crossing Senior Living, and I really want to appeal to the seniors that are listening right now. This is a beautiful, brand new 12-bedroom home where you can live with your friends. I mean, absolutely warm furnishings, a lot of great friendship, and delicious meals 3 times a day, snacks, housekeeping, local transportation, all of this and more. Please call Matt or Kelly Wiggins at 650-4979, and they'll set up an appointment to show you Greystone Crossing Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. One other great advertiser that I'm a part of myself, and that's 7K Metals. And I really believe in silver purchases that help yourself build your own financial security and future, and the silver is sent right to you at your home. It's a valued treasure for your loved ones and a great saving opportunity. Get a hold of Lon Hardy today at 312-8699 or Sharon at 430-3259. Ask them about 7K Metals and silver purchases, a great and valuable resource for you. Well, here he is. I bragged about him. I'm going to turn his mic on now. He was saying nasty things a minute ago, so I had to keep it silent.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know. Yeah, I just was saying, good morning, Zeb. It's great to be back.
You have a great personality to be a communications director. I mean, I'm kind of cynical. I don't think I'd pan out.
I have... In fact, Craig White, our regional supervisor, and I were driving back from the Wood River Valley the other day, and I told him, I said, Craig, I am having a blast in this job. It is, it's so much fun. I get to meet a lot of people out and about, and especially those that like to hunt and fish. And so, in my mind, I can't have a better job.
And then you slip the big notice that you need a raise, right?
Well, yeah. Unfortunately, the way the state system works, they just can't arbitrarily award those. But it's okay. I'm having too much fun.
We might say a big shout out to Craig, because I understand he's laying flat on his back and his wife's serving him ice cream and filet mignon, etc. How come?
He had a little bit of a health issue this last week, and so he's at home in recovery, doing well. And last we know, he's looking forward to be back in the office next week.
Oh, so listen up, Fish and Game Office. All the fun's over.
Yeah, but no, he's doing good, and health issues can sneak up on people pretty quick and knock you down pretty fast.
You're not kidding. Well, both you and I are kind of poster boys for that.
In fact, I told Craig the other day how many surgeries I've had, and he said that he was going to strive not to achieve my number.
Wow.
So.
Well, I've had 18.
Well, I got you beat. I got 25.
25. Do you realize between us that's 33 doctors that we've made millionaires?
Oh, I have made many a doctor at least a down payment on a new truck or something.
Oh, my. Hey, listen, we got to get to the business at hand. Second chance controlled hunt drawing results before August 25th.
Yep. So controlled hunts are always a hot topic around the office, especially late spring and into the summer. And we just wrapped up our second chance, what we call our second chance controlled hunt drawing. So it's the second round, because some people drew on the first round and did not pick up their tags. So those get thrown back into the mix, and then there's some that just weren't fully allocated on the first one. So that application period closed on the 15th. Hunters should know all we can say is before the 25th. Usually it's somewhere around the 20th or so that word gets out.
I made a correction on myself right now. We were just talking about surgeries. 18 and 25 is 43. Look at all the other doctors we made rich.
Yeah, they've gone to the bank a few times, I think.
I want to ask you about this next part, because I've seen this stuff out at Magic Reservoir, etc., and down at the Salmon Dam. The harmful algae bloom. What's the danger here?
So, and I think we're starting to see those more and more, and I don't know if anybody really can point to a reason, but right now we've got really warm temperatures, and so you get these blue-green algae that bloom in particularly reservoirs because the water is not flowing like a river would, and those blue-green algae can be toxic.
Is it an airborne bacteria that gets in the water and then forms, or what causes it?
No, it's an algae. It's a cell that lives in the water. I think I probably shouldn't get too in depth because I'm not a algal bloom expert, but these cysts remain in the water. They'll remain dormant, and then when water temperatures get to a certain level, they expand by orders of magnitude.
Now, and I'm going to give you a scenario here, Terry, if you're fishing and you hook one and you drag it through this algae near the banks to land the fish and they get it internally, what is the damage, if any, to the meat, if you will, of the fish?
So the algae is throughout the water column, so the fish are swimming in it all the time.
I see.
So Fish and Game does not, I'll just put it right out there, Fish and Game is not the agency that monitors or determines when a harmful algal bloom occurs. So that's the Department of Environmental Quality, DEQ.
I see.
And so so I guess we should point out that the two reservoirs that right now have these advisories on them are Cedar Creek, also known as Roseworth, or Thorn Creek. And but to your point about fishing and things like that, so DEQ suggests that if you do choose to fish and keep the fish, that you gut them, you rinse them in copious amounts of fresh water.
See, now there you go, pushing this Fish and Game verbiage on us. Copious.
Let's just say lots and lots of fresh water.
Okay.
And take the skin off. So the toxin and a lot of these toxins, and we saw a lot of them in Alaska in clams, the toxin cannot be cooked out of a fish. So, but what they've found, at least what we're hearing from DEQ, is that the flesh of the fish doesn't seem to accumulate the toxin. Where it accumulates is in more of the fatty tissues and things like that.
I see.
Now, getting back to your point about pulling the fish through the algal bloom when you're reeling it in, I think that's why they're saying take the skin off.
Okay.
This is nasty stuff. I mean, it can make people very sick. It can kill dogs, pets.
Yeah. How come, and maybe it's been ever since Adam was on the earth, I don't know, but how come we're hearing so much more about it today than we did 10 or 20 years ago?
That's a great question, and I don't think I can adequately answer that one. I don't know. Maybe we had them and we just weren't monitoring for them.
I see.
Because a lot of times now, because I can remember as a kid, we would go out swimming and you come out looking a little green.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody at that time maybe thought about looking at it from a toxic standpoint. And if you got sick, it was just kind of, well, you must have had a bad hot dog or something.
There you go. Yeah. So it is very deadly to dogs, though.
Yep. So DEQ says don't let your dogs, your pets, drink from those reservoirs. Cattle. I don't know. I think from an adult standpoint, it would just make you pretty sick.
Yeah.
But it's so the DEQ advisory says children, pets, and livestock should not be exposed to the water.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my. Warm weather, and let's face it, the last couple of days have been not warm, they've been hot. And I know that we've been up there around that century mark, etc. I bet you the fishing is lousy, right?
Well, it depends on where you want to go. Right now, smallmouth bass out at Lake Walcott and Milner, walleye, Salmon Falls Creek, and over here towards Oakley, in Oakley Reservoir. what we're hearing are good fishing reports. They like those warmer water temperatures. They're more active, so it's pretty hot for the angler to get out in this kind of temperatures. But if you want to, there's still some really good fishing going on out there. CJ, crappies and perch have been doing really well.
I have a question, and this is for Professor Thompson, okay? When God created all things, why did he create a smallmouth and a bigmouth bass?
Oh, man. I'm not even sharp enough to come up with a funny answer on that one.
It's always bothered me. Why one smallmouth and why one bigmouth? I mean, why?
Yeah, Mike Peterson, our regional wildlife or fishery manager.
Why is your face red, Terry?
Well, this is the kind where I always go, why, Zeb? Why? No, but that's a good, we just have different species.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
I can see having northern pike, and they've got teeth like razors. I can see having perch. The spines will get you, and you'll have a sore hand. But why are there two bass? One's a smallmouth and one's a largemouth. I just often wondered that.
I'll come back next month, and we might drag our resident fishery manager back here and let him go red-faced.
I can honestly see Craig White pulling the covers over his head right now.
Well, if he was here alongside me, we'd probably be both looking at each other like, who's going to answer this one?
Okay, what about stocking a lot of fish, a lot of trout?
We continue to put a lot of fish out, and let me see, I have it actually on a piece of paper here in front of me, if I could just pull it out. It's like 25,000 fish we've stocked just this month, and when I say fish, it's like 10 to 12 inch, what we call catchables.
Really?
The size of fish that people, when they hook it and bring it to shore, go, that's fish I want to take home and eat.
Yeah.
So, we stock throughout the Magic Valley every month, and the month of August comes to 25,000 fish, and so just looking at the calendar, and I'm really trying to remind myself this is the week of the 17th. Mm-hmm. We're putting some up in the Bigwood River, Trail Creek, Hagerman's getting some, Big Trinity, Little Trinity, and we are soon going to be doing some stocking up at Lake Cleveland.
Oh, really? I love going up there.
Yeah, it's great.
Have you been there?
Yeah. But I was supposed to actually go up yesterday, but they had to postpone that stocking.
Yeah.
But no.
How do you count the fish?
They do it by weight.
Oh, really?
So
kind of like a feedlot.
Or by weight or by water displacement. Because, if you've ever watched them putting fish in a stocking truck,
yeah,
they're just by either the net full, or sometimes they use pumps that don't harm the fish, and they pump the water in and with the fish. And so I think a lot of it could be by water displacement or by weight.
So they basically are only going to put in, like you said, let's say 12-inch trout. Okay, and they know they've got all 12-inch trout in this supply that's going to be loaded onto the truck.
Yep.
So they take the divisible weight of what one would weigh at 12 inches long, and that's how they count the numbers.
Yep.
You guys are way too heavy into scientific attitudes.
Well, when I decided to go into this line of work, the biggest fear I had was math. And
you too, huh?
Oh, man.
I couldn't even add 18 and 25 a minute ago.
And I didn't even know to correct you either. So, but yeah, there are some really smart folks out there, especially, all of our hatchery folks doing some amazing work. And I should point out, too, that our hatcheries still remain closed to the public.
I see.
Our hatchery staff, many times it's only like 3 or 4, maybe 5 people. And if we were to bring COVID into our hatchery staff and knock out the entire crew, we could put, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of fish survival at risk.
Is there, and it sounds to me like there is, extreme education and training involved in raising hatchery fish?
Absolutely. You can, CSI's got a program teaching people, I was going to say kids, but any age, how to be what we call a fish culturist.
Really?
Yep. So it is a very sophisticated line of specialty training. So you're learning not only about fish biology, but you're learning how to basically raise fish. So what we're doing is we're mimicking a natural life cycle, what would happen out in a stream or a lake, and we're recreating that in a hatchery setting.
So, and again, I don't know that much about it, and I'm asking a lot of questions, but do you take the fish at a certain stage and go from this pond and then net them out of that pond and put them in another pond and kind of a progressive type maturity, and then they go to the various streams and lakes?
Absolutely. So it's what we call growing them out.
I see.
And so, much as cattle or anything else, smaller, we can put a lot of small fish in a raceway, and then as they get bigger,
they're called raceways. I see.
So we have raceways or grow out tanks, depend on kind of each hatchery. But as those fish get bigger, then we want to spread them out so that they aren't crowded. Fish can be aggressive towards each other. You can get cannibalism going on.
Really?
You could get fin wear if you have too many fish.
That's where the smallmouth and the largemouth bass, they don't like each other.
That's probably somewhere along that line. It's the work of our hatchery staff is pretty amazing, and these folks do a tremendous amount of work and provide opportunity for our anglers.
Sounds to me like that industry, with learning about the various feeds and the technocracy and technology of getting them up to a mature fish to be released, you got to know your P's and Q's.
Yeah, and add disease into the mix.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Again, you start putting a lot of fish in a tank. Diseases can spread rapidly throughout. So
how come carp never get sick?
Well, we don't raise carp in a hatchery. At least I don't think anybody's raising carp in Idaho. No, we do it in our state hatcheries, but it's a very complicated process. We put tens of millions of dollars towards hatcheries here in Idaho, and it's all to provide fishing opportunity for our anglers.
Wow. Of all the fish that are like over here at Murtaugh Lake, I think predominantly you're looking at carp and suckers and catfish and bullheads. Why? Why are they so predominant? Do they absolutely rule the roost and eat or kill the other fish?
No, some of it could be competition for food. I think in the case of Murtaugh is water temperature. It's not my recollection from the days when I was younger and go play out there. It's not a very deep little body of water.
No, there's certain places that if you dive in, you're going to look like a lawn dart.
Yeah, yep. And so, fish are... Well, I'm going to use the rainbow trout for an example. They start to get really stressed when the water temperatures start to get into the mid or upper 60s.
Really?
They love the cold. They're a cold water fish.
Cold water fish.
Smallmouth would be a warm water fish. Largemouth would be a warm water fish. So a lot of times the type of fish that reside in a body of water are there because of the habitat conditions.
So your catfish and your carp are kind of like your trailer trash fish that sit around in a lawn chair smoking a cigar, right?
I'm not going to classify them there, but they definitely, it's been interesting. The cat fishery in Idaho, I think, has grown tremendously since when I left to go to Alaska back in 2001. I didn't notice, and maybe it's just because of social media, but I monitor a lot of the regional fishing pages on Facebook, and people are going crazy for catfish.
Are there catfish and carp up in Canada, Alaska?
No. Nope, again, water temperature.
Ah, too cold.
Too cold.
They're fussy.
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yep.
So if you go fishing up there, you're not going to catch bullheads or anything like that?
No, but you can, if you fish in the saltwater, you're going to catch what we call sculpin or things like that look a lot like a bullhead.
Real sculpin.
Sculpin.
Never heard of it.
Oh, yeah, it's a great fish. But it has
Are they good eating?
No, they're not. You don't eat them. Lots of spines.
Oh.
So
I've learned more in the last 10 minutes from you than I ever knew about fish. Holy smokes. I got to hurry. I've got a break coming up.
Sure.
I want to ask you about kokanee fishing at Anderson's.
Yeah, so right now the fishery up in Anderson, especially for kokanee, they're starting to move up into the tributaries to spawn. So fishing's probably going to start tapering down for kokanee up there.
Okay. Got to tell everybody the Cache County Fair and Rodeo Parade is starting in 3 minutes. Countdown, yes sirree, 10:30 the starting time this morning for the Cache County Fair and Rodeo Parade, and today they're going to have a lot of judging at the fairgrounds in various categories. The Cache County Heifer Fraternity's going on, and of course they're going to have entertainment on the free stage, and tonight the big team ranch sorting, and they're expecting a lot of teams for that. All of this, and then tomorrow, Friday and Saturday, the great big Cache County Fair and Pro Rodeo, PRCA Rodeo at its best. All of this and so much more at your Cache County Fair and Pro Rodeo. Want to also mention some of the merchants that invite you to the Cache County Fair include Mountain Transmissions, 1146 East Main in Burley with Old Rick, 678-9110. Free towing, free diagnostic, and free estimates within 50 miles. They can handle it. 30 years of experience with your transmissions. You better call them today, 678-9110. And then don't forget Kelly's Bearings at 1407 East Main in Burley. You better believe it, they've got all the bearings and the chains and the brackets, and you'll know where you're at when you get your bearings at Kelly's. Stop in and see Zach or Brett today. Last but not least, I'm really high on these folks. Wonderful service, the best of service. They were here last Sunday morning in my house. Baker Brothers Pump Service, absolutely the most reliable pump service company. 103 West 500 South in Burley. I'll tell you what, they are good from residential pump service to water softener sales. Baker Brothers Pump Service. And those are a few great businesses welcoming you to the Cache County Fair and Pro Rodeo. We're going to take a real quick break, send it over to the studio. We'll be back in just about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb.
Oh, boy, I look forward every month to having the fishing game on our program, and we have Terry Thompson, the communications director, with us. We'll have more with him momentarily. Want to remind you that Bennett Boys Auction Service is going to have the big Eiler Estate Auction this Saturday at 11 o'clock over in Filer, 2264 East, 4300 North. Look for the signs. Rather than me give you all the directions, you look for the signs. They'll get you right to the Eiler Estate Auction starting at 11 o'clock. Tractors, forklifts, farm machinery, snow blowers, ATVs, generators, shop tools, lawn and garden, sports and exercise equipment, all of this and more at the Eiler Estate Auction coming up this Saturday over in Filer, managed by the Bennett Boys Auction Service. No sale too big, no sale too small. The Bennett Boys, they sell them all. A quick reminder, the wonderful Urgent Cares, Riverview Urgent Care in Burley on Overland, Urgent Care in Twin on Addison Avenue East, and Urgent Care of Jerome on West Avenue A, all are going to provide $10 sports physicals for your young athletes. Absolutely. And then listen to this. They'll take the money and then donate it right back to your school's athletic program. I tell you what, no appointment necessary. These physicals regularly $20. I'm going to turn the mic off and cough. I'm back. And we urge you to stop into the Urgent Cares. Riverview Urgent Care in in Burley on Overland, Urgent Care of Twin Falls on Addison, Urgent Care of Jerome. $10 sports physicals right back to your school. Caller, real fast. I've got to get back to Terry. What can I do for you?
Good morning, Zeb. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. Hey, have you got that big mouth and smallmouth bass deal figured out yet?
No, we do not. We've had great contemplation about this problem during the break at 10:30. Do you have some great educated answer for that?
Yeah. One's a Republican and one's a Democrat.
Bingo. That's the answer I wanted right there.
Okay, Zeb, you have a good day.
All right, God bless you. Thank you much. Well, in that case, I'll say that the big mouths are the Democrats. The small mouths are the Republicans. I'm going to be political. Terry Thompson, out of Canada, out of Alaska, back down in the States to work here in this region for the Idaho fishing game. Now that you've been here for a while, what would you say is a comparison between Alaska and here as to your likes? Which one did you like better?
Well,
your mic on. Go ahead. Say that all over.
Oh, okay. So that's a really tough question because I grew up in southern Idaho. Lived in Twin, went to CSI, Twin Falls High School, went up to University of Idaho. So I love Idaho. It's a great place. And I literally would always tell people I'm never leaving. And then I went to Alaska.
That's a change.
And I went on vacation one time, and I came back, and I told my buddies, I said, you know what, I can live up there. And then I had an opportunity, and
really,
and they both states are great. The one thing, growing up in southern Idaho, you get used to the heat. I moved to Alaska. I think I acclimatized to 70 being a warm day because this summer is killing me.
Wow. Yeah, but in the winter up there, you really have to be John Wayne.
Well, you spend your 3-month summer getting ready for your 9-month winter.
Wow.
And that's a little exaggeration. The winter's probably 8 months, not 9. But it's pretty manic in the summertime because you have so much daylight. You go to bed in the light and you wake up in the light because it starts getting light about, in Homer where I lived, it would start getting light about 3 a.m., 2:30, and it would get dark about 11 or 1:30, 1 o'clock.
Nick Greenwell just went up to Alaska and fished up there, and he said it was just so magnificent when they were out on the boat. They had whales all around them and everything else, and he said you saw everything, moose and everything right on the shores. It must be, it's kind of wild up there yet, isn't it?
It is, and so I always have to chuckle, when we've got moose in people's yards here, and it causes quite the stir, and literally, I would have moose in my yard, maybe not every day, but, several times a week.
They're not nice sometimes.
They... sometimes, you could walk right close to them and they don't even look up at you. And other times, especially if that's a cow with a calf, don't get between them.
Oh, I found that out 4 years ago, way back in the South Hills by those little ponds.
Yep.
We did.
Yeah.
We got between them.
Yeah.
That is not a good situation. It's one where you want to dial 911 real fast.
Yeah. But, Alaska's great. I really miss going up there this summer because of all the travel. I'm going to use the word restrictions, with COVID and everything. So, but still got my house up there, got a boat in the driveway.
Really?
But
you did have. It's long gone.
Well,
somebody hooked on, baby. It's gone.
I've actually got some work being done on the house right now. Maybe sell it. Who knows? And if I do, I'll be looking for a cabin somewhere in southern Idaho.
There you go. Hey, by the way, irrigation, this next category I've often wondered about. When the fall comes along and the canal system literally starts to dry up, what do you do with all the fish that might be trapped there in those little ponds, etc.?
That's a great question. And, I think typically what we see is, especially up on the Richfield Canal and coming out of Magic, so our fisheries biologists are monitoring that situation up there because I think they're probably going to be turning that water off sooner than they typically have.
Yeah.
That from I haven't actually got to go up and take a first-hand look at Magic, but from what I understand, it's being drawn down pretty low.
Yeah. What do you figure typically in a year when they start shutting the canal system down? I mean, what do you do? Go in with nets, or do you allow people to go in and fish for these fish? What do you do?
Usually, well, I have to be careful because I've only been here now a year, and we didn't have to issue a salvage order last year. But we allow people to go in and take those fish if we have issued a salvage order. People can still go in and target them with rod and reel. We do a lot of work up in the Wood River Valley with the local Trout Unlimited chapter up there, and they have invested and put money into a tank where they can go in and actually bring fish back and put them back in, say, the Big Wood River.
Oh, really?
This year, downstream of Bellevue, stretch of river was dewatered because of irrigation calls on that water, and so Trout Unlimited went in with their members and netted and relocated fish back upstream.
I see.
It's a great way. Sometimes some fish will die, but when we manage by populations, and our trout population in the Big Wood River is very healthy and robust. Yeah. But there are times when it is beneficial to go in and bring these fish back into the river. But if somebody says I saw a dead fish along the stream bank, granted, that's a loss of a fish, but in the scheme of the population, it's an insignificant number.
I see. Fall Chinook season opens. Tell us about that quickly.
Yeah, so Fall Chinook on the snake and salmon opened yesterday, August 18th, and this year we're anticipating about a little over 18,000 adult Fall Chinook back into the state, which is last year we had about 16,500. So we're pretty excited about a fall Chinook fishery. I will point out that if you like to fish the Snake and Salmon rivers, it's going to be open for fishing 7 days a week. Daily bag limit is 3 adults, and you can actually keep one with an adipose fin, that small fleshy fin between the dorsal and the tail.
Okay.
So get out and enjoy some salmon fishing. If we have the opportunity, and it looks like we do because of I'm not going to say good numbers, but enough numbers that we can provide fishing opportunity. Get out and take advantage of it.
I'm going to do a weather forecast in just a second, but I want to hit on this next subject. We talked about the hatcheries remaining closed to the public due to COVID, and bears. There's a silly, stupid commercial on TV with IHOP restaurants, and then they got a bear standing out in front. I don't know why they associated the bear with IHOP, but you don't want to feed the bears.
No, and especially we're seeing it this summer, especially in the Wood River Valley, things are really dry. And, there's not a lot of natural forage out there for the bears. Berry crops aren't looking like they're going to be producing like they should be. And so, unfortunately, bears are coming into town and getting into residential garbage cans. And that is
right
never
in town.
In town. Monday morning, I got a text at 5 a.m. We had a sow and a cub out Warm Springs, within city limits of Ketchum, and the sow was going house to house, knocking over trash cans, and she was a big bear, and she got that way because she's been eating a lot of garbage.
Wow. And you really, as a homeowner, don't want to go out in your slippers and bathrobe and try to reprimand them.
No, but that's a really good point, because when a bear becomes food conditioned, bears are unpredictable anyway. They're a wild animal.
Yes, sure.
And, if a bear is in a garbage can and somebody does not know that there's a bear out there, and they walk around the corner to get in the car in the morning, go into work or whatever, if that bear feels threatened or cornered in any way, it could be a public safety issue. And so, very strong message to folks is keep your garbage in your garage, in a locked shed. Don't put it out the night before. You know, in Twin Falls downtown, you know, I live in Twin. I put my garbage can out on the night before. I'm probably not setting a very good example, but we don't have bears walking through our neighborhoods.
Now that you said that, be careful.
I know. Yeah, but you know, up in the Wood River Valley, where we know we have bears in neighborhoods, let's keep bears and residential garbage separate.
Absolutely. Terry Thompson with the Fish and Game. Want to remind you, do I know a great place in Burley to eat? If you're over there for the fair, go to Edith's Cafe at 144 East Highway 81. They're open this week, Fair Week, Tuesday through Saturday from 11 to 3, and you're saying, well, how come they abbreviated the hours? Well, the answer is simple, as a spray plane just scared me to death and flew low over the roof. Edith's Cafe has a trailer out at the Cassia County Fairgrounds so you, fairgoers, can enjoy the great food right at the fair. Wow! Great place to eat right across from the golf course, Edith's Cafe, 144 East Highway 81 in Burley. And don't forget, this week they also have a trailer over at the Cassia County Fair. Time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Don Scarrow and the crew, and believe me, they can help you with the most delicious of meats for any occasion. Number to call, 324-7657, or you can go to their website, check out all the great meats, scarrowsmeats.com. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're still in that heat advisory for today, and it's going to be a little bit muggy. Here's a look at your weather forecast. Mostly sunny skies. We are expecting a high of 95. A little bit of a breeze out of the southeast at about 8 miles an hour. Tonight, partly cloudy skies with a low of 62. Tomorrow, sunny skies, high of 92. Winds are going to be picking up just a little bit out of the south. By Thursday night, mostly clear with a low of 56. By Friday, sunny and 92. That's look at your weather for Zebedee.
Oh, it's going to stay warm. Great for somebody that's selling deodorant. I tell you what, it's going to be a great business to be in. Scarrow's Meats brings us the weather. Don Scarrow and the crew always helping you with the most delicious of meats, whether it's the bratwurst or the sausage or the different flavors of bacon or the marinated pork ribs or the tri-tips, on and on delicious. As a matter of fact, from Scarrow's Meats, they're changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Terry Thompson, let's see. Now, we were talking about bears, and that also goes to when you're camping up in the hills, run and keep and maintain a clean camp.
Absolutely. You know, again, bears are not drawn just to urban settings like Ketchum and Sun Valley and such. I was talking to a gentleman just yesterday that was camping up in Stanley Basin last weekend and said they had bears, you know, basically coming very close to their campsites.
Really?
And, you know, again, a food-conditioned bear, what we would call a food-conditioned bear, is any bear that has learned that it can raid garbage cans or coolers or whatever and get a food reward. Those bears become a public safety hazard, and if we're forced to trap it, the bear's going to be euthanized.
What would you tell people that maybe are from Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, and they're out here in Idaho, and they really aren't familiar with what could or might happen out in the Idaho wilds? What would you tell them if they walk out of the tent, stretch, yawn, and see a bear face to face? What's the smart thing to do?
Smart thing is to make a lot of noise.
That wouldn't be hard for me to do.
Stand up, you know, make the bear realize that you are a human. And, you know, a natural, or what we would hope would happen, is once a bear recognizes that you are a human and you've made noise, they're going to run.
Well, I hope the person that stands up, stretches, and yawns hopes the bears realizes who they are.
But the big thing is don't run yourself.
Oh, really? Don't run?
Don't run.
Or have somebody slower like me with you.
You know, that's always the running joke. That was, you know, that and you know, bear bells.
Yeah.
You know, you always find the bear bells and the bear scat. But, you know, wildlife has a tendency to, if something is running away, that their normal reaction on a prey base is to chase
it. Yeah, I never thought of that.
And so with bears, mountain lions especially, you never run. Make yourself look big. Make a lot of noise. If you do find yourself in a situation, because black bears have been known to be predatory, meaning they're coming at you as a prey base, something to eat. So if you ever, hopefully, I'm going to say this like it happens normally, but if you find yourself in a situation where you have a black bear coming at you, you fight back, you punch, you kick, you go for the eyes, gouge, it's no holds barred.
You graduated in bearology, didn't you?
Yeah. So a grizzly bear is opposite. They tend, at least, and we saw that in Alaska, was they tend to knock the threat down.
Oh, really?
Quick blow, and then they retreat.
They do?
So a lot of times they do that. I'm not going to say every time. So with those, you lay down, you wrap yourself into a ball, you put your hands over your neck, protect your neck, but you don't fight a brown bear because they're just massive bears.
Yeah.
But if you find yourself in a situation with a black bear, you definitely fight back.
Let me ask you, when you were up in Alaska, what was the biggest bear, perhaps, that you personally have ever seen? If it stood up on its hind legs, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one. There were several brown bears that I saw along the Kenai River, probably standing up 8-9 feet tall.
Oh, boy.
800 pounds, somewhere around that range.
Really? And I understand they can run.
Oh, you can't. There is no way to outrun a bear, black or brown, grizzly. And there's a common misconception that grizzly bears can't climb trees. Totally false. They can climb trees.
So when you're halfway up the tree, you're going to say to yourself, oops, made a mistake?
Yeah. So, because I always heard growing up that, black bears can climb, grizzly bears can't. But there are many videos out there showing brown bears or grizzly bears climbing trees.
No kidding.
Very fast.
Wow.
It's a very rare situation when we have a negative interaction with a bear, especially black
I love
bears.
how you say that so eloquently. A negative interaction. In other words, you're about ready to be lunch.
Yeah. But, the biggest thing is just be aware of your surroundings, make noise, sing when...
You expect me to sing Rock of Ages when I got a bear trying to eat me?
Trust me, if you're walking around and singing Rock of Ages, if you're like me, there won't be anything, people or animals, within a mile radius. But one of the things that we used to do in Alaska, especially walking through heavy brush, was we would get two maybe baseball, softball size rocks and clang them together because it's a very sharp sound, it carries well, and it makes bears recognize that there's something coming.
Oh my. I want to talk about this real quick. Fire restrictions, it's really dry out there.
Oh, it is incredible. I was up last night up by Little Camas and drove home about midnight, and the lightning show was spectacular.
Really?
Every 15 seconds there was a flash somewhere. So we've got, I know, looking at the sky this morning, driving out here, a lot of smoke in the air. We got a lot of fire starts going. So the Forest Service, BLM, and Idaho Department of Lands has issued a Stage 1 fire restriction that I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of. And basically, it's what they call Zone 1. I know this is kind of a administrative, but it's those lands north of Highway 20, which and then from Hill City over to the Craters of the Moon. But it's so right now you can't have. If you were like me, you like to go disperse camping. No fires.
Okay. Okay.
No smoking even.
No smoking. I've got to pay some bills here real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. I want to say and acknowledge our great, big, major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I absolutely am so appreciative of everything they've done for me in this program over the many, many years. Thank you, Les Schwab. And, of course, they are going to help you with all the tires that you need for your safe driving, whether it's for your car, your pickup, your SUV, horse trailer, boat trailers, whatever. They've got all the tires, all the sizes, and they've got all the different tread designs, and they've got the experts there that can steer you right into the set of tires that you need. So be sure and stop in and see them today, along with the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, and batteries. Very important batteries. They've got it all, including the best in service. So stop in today and see James and Buell, Dan on Pole Line in Twin Falls, Lane and Rupert, Mike and Jerome, Dave on Blue Lakes in Twin Falls, and of course, don't forget the Twist family in Paul and my buddy Trent on Overland in Burley. Nobody does it as good as they do. They're the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Terry Thompson with the Idaho Fish and Game. We're going to wrap it up and put it back in the box. And ladies and gentlemen, officially from this day forward, we are, with inquiring minds, your official smallmouth and largemouth bass headquarters.
That's great. I can't wait to get back to the office and spread that word around.
I hope you have a great summer, and we'll look forward to having you back in the fall next month and in September.
God, can you believe it's already September?
You know, we're griping about this heat and complaining about it and sweating. 30 days from now, it might be the opposite.
Yeah. A little cooler would feel good, but it'll be fall before we know it. And but that means hunting season's right around the corner, so we're all pretty excited about that.
Excellent job, Terry. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not going to be here tomorrow. I have to take the day off. We've got some doctor's appointments that are very important, and so Sharon is going to fill in for me. She does a wonderful job, so she's going to be at the microphone tomorrow morning on Zeb at the Ranch. We always end the program by saying, of course, the way things were, the way things ought to be, and the 4 words that mean the most to us: in God we trust. Enjoy the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. We'll see you next Monday at 8:06. Zeb at the Ranch. Thank you.